Dave Klemick's abandoning us.
Yeah. See ya.
Dave Klemick, he's too busy being a family man to hang with Hennig anymore on 97.3. No, we love Dave. Klemick Performance Method, great sponsor here on 97.3 ESPN's Hanging with Hennig. I still got Mr. Negadelphia, PJ Corda, Alex still helping me out here. Shout out to Zia Nicola, one of our presenting sponsors. Zia Nicola, the best pizzeria in Seattle City. I was just chowing on some meat lovers pie on the break there. By the way, is it pie or za? What do you say, PJ?
I say pie. I mean, I don't know. You know, everybody's got their thing. You know what I mean?
I think it's pie. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong calling it pie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pie.
Well, let's ask a man who is very, very cultured about many things, but he also is an NBA insider, Brandon Scoop B Robinson. Follow him at Scoop B on all social media. He's a friend of mine, and I appreciate him jumping on my new show here, Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. My friend, how's life treating you?
Busy, but in a good way, man. Congratulations on the new show, and hello, everybody else that's with you. I know they are top-notch.
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
My friend, so I was talking before you came on. I can't remember the last time the Sixers had a draft where I walked away, I was like, they nailed both picks. Like, you go year by year, and you're like, that's good, that's okay, that's not great, that's good. Like, this time it felt like they was just like, big win, both picks. What was your perspective on the Sixers? Because there's a lot of speculation that Morey could have traded those picks, and he sat and picked instead.
Well, I really did enjoy the B.J. Edgecombe pick quite a bit. I think he fits what they need. A 2-3 that can play some one, that plays off the ball and really can do some things. I thought that Edgecombe was the perfect fit for the 76ers, not so much Ace Bailey, and I think it benefited for both parties.
When you think about Edgecombe, to me, he looks a lot like the players that you saw Brandon Scoopy Robinson in the conference and NBA finals. These athletic, versatile guys who are willing to do whatever it takes to help a team win. Is that a fair way to describe him, that this is a guy who kind of fits the mold of what we saw from teams like the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers?
I can see it. I look at the 76ers as a whole. They really had a down year because of injuries, and I think that this year is a chance for them, this coming season rather, is a chance for them to get it right. And I think that the rookie definitely doesn't have to come out and be, LeBron James in 2003. He's around a bunch of guys that are ready, have won on some level or have been competitive on some level, and he's just a fit. Coming out of Long Island Lutheran High School, which is known to produce some powerhouses there. He definitely was someone at Baylor that really got it done on the collegiate level. And, just his background, to me, he looks like a Philly type of player for the way he carries himself, the way he was talking and after he was drafted. And I really just think that he's just an added piece. Like, if you can compare it to baseball, like a lot of times people want to get the home run, but sometimes singles and doubles still get you on base and raise your batting average. And I think this is an example of that.
And I also, to me, it's more than just because Broom's a man of faith, but Janai Broom, this guy worked his tail off. Morehead State, who the heck goes to Morehead State aside from Phil Simms and becomes a professional athlete? And then it's like, then he goes to Auburn. He could have been the player of the year if it wasn't for some guy named Cooper Flagg, right? So I love the Broom addition because it's also a quality human being you're adding to the team. And let's be realistic. You look at the OKC Thunder, the brotherhood, the Indiana Pacers, the brotherhood. Like, having a good locker room really matters in the NBA, right?
Yeah, definitely. Locker room is everything. I spent a significant amount of time around the Oklahoma City Thunder over the last few years, and that camaraderie in the locker room is apparent throughout. I remember, you asked about the Pacers, but I can tell you about the Thunder. They are the reigning champs currently, but I remember spending some time with them in the back during the season, and I asked a couple guys, like, yo, who's your stylist? And they all said Shea. Like, they didn't hire a personal stylist. They all say that, they help them get themselves close. Pre-game, that sounds more like a college team than it does a pro team. And they're still very young in their approach. And, I know people like camaraderie. I think Philly, is a bit of more of a veteran ball club in comparison to Oklahoma. I also think that when you look at the Pacers, to go to your initial question, they were similar to how the Thunder built their team as far as through the draft, and more I think with the Pacers. You add in Pascal Siakam who trade, and Miles Turner is an original as well. So was Halliburton. Well, he's not an original, but he was traded young over there. He's more like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was traded from the Clippers to the Thunder. But in answer to your question, you love to have a good locker room, and it starts with the architecture from the front office and what they decide to do. I think the Nets are in a similar situation like Oklahoma as far as just going through the draft. They got 5 draft picks for crying out loud. But for the Sixers, you add some draft pieces to an already veteran ball club with Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. I think the Sixers are dependent upon how healthy Joel Embiid is, and if he's healthy, and you add those draft pieces, and you just continue to promote good character and just guys that want to be there, I think good things would happen. I'm also excited to see what happens with Jarrett McGain in year 2. So all these young guys, mixing in, and it'll be interesting to see how that all comes together next year.
Talking with NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson, joining us here in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig along with Mr. Negadelphia, PJ Corda. I got Alex helping me here on site, and of course Nick Earnshaw back in the studios, 97.3 ESPN. You mentioned the OKC Thunder. How long do you think that team can keep doing it? Because I know they're young, I know they're talented, but I feel like didn't we say the same thing about the Bucks? Didn't we say the same thing about the Nuggets? And look where both of those teams are. They don't have the same head coaches they had a few years ago.
What was the question, though?
The OKC Thunder. Do you think that they can? How long is their window to do this? Because the other teams that we thought could do this a long time weren't able to.
It gives me Warriors vibes. We still talk about the Warriors now, even with them not being 2015, 2016. 10 years later, we still look at the Warriors as a threat. The Thunder have that potential if they keep their guys together and they pay them.
Yeah, if they don't lose, that's what I was going to say. If they don't keep them, you know what I mean? That's really going to be the big factor if they can keep all those players together.
I agree.
Yeah.
Scoop, a couple more before I let you go here on 97.3 ESPN. What is the biggest storyline you're keeping an eye on this NBA offseason when free agency kicks off next week?
I think what happens with Giannis. If he decides that he wants to stay or whether he wants to go. We've already figured out what's going on with Kevin Durant, and I think that's the biggest thing. But I also think that you're also going to see a lot of players who you think are going to leave from their prospective team really push the envelope, kind of in a DeAndre Ayton sort of way a few years ago. I know that guys like James Wiseman, they're looking at their future there. Jonathan Kuminga definitely has his suitors. And you're also going to see guys who on those prospective teams, if they can't figure something out, they have a good enough rapport with their team that sign and trades will facilitate themselves also. I also think that you're going to see a lot of centers find their way into great situations. I wrote a report today over at Scoopy.com that you can check out, where I talked about the New Orleans Pelicans specifically about, despite the fact that they brought in Derek McQueen and to a roster that already includes Yves Missy, they're looking for one more big man, and guys like Brook Lopez and Al Horford, guys who are veteran sitters, are going to really put themselves in position to be successful because there's a need for their knowledge and their presence. So I think you'll definitely see some of the things that I mentioned.
All right, before I let you go, because I presented you also as a man of culture. You've been around a lot of the New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey environments. Is it a pizza pie? Do you call it za? What do you refer to pizza as?
If I'm buying 8 slices?
Yeah.
If I'm buying 8 slices, it's a pizza pie. If I'm getting one slice, it's a slice.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There it is, the consensus. Fred, NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you. Follow him on X, on Instagram, all the platforms at Scoop B. Check out Scoop B Radio. Check it out on YouTube for all the great insider interviews. I loved your interview with Clarissa Shields. It was a great conversation you had. Keep up the great work, my friend.
Thank you. You too. And congratulations on this new show, and thank you for the opportunity to be myself.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig over here at Connor Barnes Make the World Better Pickleball Tournament in Sea Isle City here on 97.3 ESPN alongside Mr. Negadelphia, PJ Corder. I got Alex helping me here on site, Nick Earnshaw back in the 97.3 ESPN studios. Coming up, we will get to the next group of what-ifs in Philly sports history. We'll check in on the text board at 609-403-0973. And, of course, we are live on the Dr. Squatch virtual stream on the X and YouTube platforms.